Do you ever wonder how writers manage to make the narrators of their stories sound so different? Well, wonder no more because today we'll be taking a look at point of view and how writers use them in their stories. Before we dive into our lesson, let's take a moment to define point of view. Point of view is what the character or narrator telling the story can see. The author chooses who tells the story by determining the point of view. Point of view is important to a story because it could set up what kind of story you're going to do, how much of the plot you can set up and reveal, and how you're telling the story. The first kind of point of view is the appropriately named first-person point of view. First-person point of view means that we are seeing events through the eyes of the character telling the story. The character themselves is the narrator of their own story. A lot of young adult books actually use this technique. This point of view is usually used to directly heighten emotion, empathy, and sympathy for the main character, or maybe turn the readers against the main character, or make the reader examine issues or experiences they might not have had before. It's done in a way where the reader is somewhat put into the character's shoes, so to speak. For example, in The Hunger Games, we get a really close look at how dangerous the games are, how the tributes work in the arena, how the characters survive, and how the traps or creatures in the arena affect Katniss or the characters she meets, thanks to the use of the first-person point of view. The next point of view is the second-person point of view, which means that the narrator is speaking to you. This isn't very common in fiction unless the narrator is trying to talk to the reader personally. This point of view usually goes meta, or in other words, breaks away from the fictional world to address the real one where the reader is, or seems like it's addressing the reader, kinda like Deadpool. It may also address another character, which is usually the case for second-person perspectives. For example, each of Us a Desert uses second-person point of view to show how the magical storyteller main character deals when the deity that gave the character their magic wasn't responding to the character's pleas and the problems of the world around them. The third point of view we're looking at is the third-person point of view. In the third-person point of view, the narrator is describing what's seen, but as a spectator. If the narrator is a character in the story, then we are reading what they observe as the story unfolds. This perspective also has subcategories like third-person limited, where the narrator sees only what's in front of them. They're a spectator of events as they unfold and are unable to read any other character's mind. For example, in 1984, third-person limited is used to heighten the oppressive, dystopian atmosphere the main character lives in. Third-person omniscient. An omniscient narrator sees all, much as an all-knowing god of some kind. They see what each character is doing and can see into each character's mind. For example, Good Omens uses a third-person omniscient point of view because there's a ton of characters and subplots that need to be covered. Limited omniscient. The limited omniscient third-person narrator can only see into one character's mind. They might see other events happening but only know the reason of one character's actions in the story. So now that we know the basics of these perspectives, how are we supposed to use them? First, you have to think of what kind of story you want to tell. Do you want to tell an adventure, romance, comedy, drama, fantasy, horror, sci-fi, or any others? Next, think of your plot. Are you doing any plot twists, hiding any secrets from the characters, foreshadowing events, or revealing information to the reader but not the characters? These things would affect what kind of perspective would suit the plot. For example, if you're doing a crime mystery with a cast of characters and any one of them could have committed the crime, then you might not want a third-person omniscient point of view, because this point of view gets into the thoughts of many characters. So, using this point of view could involve revealing the thoughts of the criminal and might spoil the mystery. In addition, you have to think of the sequence of events in your story, because characters may recall or experience the events in order, or maybe out of order, or maybe a lot of characters are experiencing different events at the same time. These elements would then influence which point of view fits the character's stories. Next, think of how many characters you want to be the focus of the story. Do you have just one main character that we should follow? Or do you need focus on multiple characters? And lastly, make sure you try out different styles and points of view when you write. It's one of the best ways to learn how to use different points of view. If you want to learn more about creative writing, filmmaking, special effects, and other artistic fields, visit filmcampforkids.com.